What kind of dreamer are you? Happy new moon awakening stars. In this video, I will talk about the new moon at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, 26 degrees of Scorpio in the sidereal system of December 13th, 2023. Stay tuned until the end to know more about it. Hello, this is Esther Ciurana from awakeningwiththestars.com, and today I'm talking about the new moon in Sagittarius, in Scorpio in sidereal. And the first thing is that we can always face a new moon from either our reaction tendency or our leadership. So the thing is, we can use astrology as everything in life, either to create stronger identities and believe that we are only our zodiac sign and then follow all these forecasts that we have, that this is what's going to happen to Scorpio, this is what's going to happen to Libras, and so on. Or we can either, and this is especially interesting for the awakened, realize that astrology is actually a tool to be able to read our programming. And once we have that awareness of the energetics that are playing, then we get to choose how we create our realities. So from that approach, I always give in one hand the reading of the tropical system, which would be the energies that are in play in the 3D world and how they are likely to manifest physically. But then we always have the choice from our heart, from our leadership, to decide what game we want to play. That's why I also give you the reading from the sidereal system, which is much more based on the purpose that it has. And once you know the purpose for what we are living, it's much easier to take aligned action from that leadership, from who you really are, which is the creator of your life, instead of just someone who reacts to whatever force is in play in that moment, which makes us predictable. But once we awaken, we are not so easy to control anymore, because we become outliers. We become much more difficult to predict because we start making decisions from our souls instead of from our minds, which is what is programmable, which is what can be controlled through fear and through lower frequencies. And so, in that sense, this moon is happening at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, but it goes into 26 degrees of Scorpio and sidereal. So what does that mean? I asked in the beginning about what kind of dreamer are you, because Sagittarius is all about these big expectations that we place outside of us. And they can be amazing, but it can hurt a lot when we feel separated from them and it feels like they're always out of reach. And so this moon has a lot to do with the archetype of Peter Pan, and especially we just came from the Scorpio season and we all have been playing a lot with our shadows. And so now it's very easy to come into December and have these like big dreams for the new year, and then just place it outside of us and stay in reaction mode, out of our power. And so this is when we end up in the opposite of Sagittarius, which is Gemini, which is also where we had the full moon 2 weeks ago. And we come back to the feeling of disempowerment, of the inner child inside of us that feels dominated by fear. So how can we lead here if we are not only awakened, but also taking aligned action from that awakening? And then we go into the sidereal chart. And the sidereal chart tells another story, which is what's the purpose of that? So it doesn't mean that when we are awakened, we don't play in the 3D world anymore, because we still have physical lives. So the thing is, for everyone, there's some kind of expectations that are being played. But then in front of that, we can either create that separation and believe that amazing dream that we have is outside of reach, and then trying to get there and feeling small towards that, or we can realize that anything that we see outside of us is a projection, and from that awareness, in the sidereal system, we see that we go from Taurus to Scorpio. And so we look within first, and we are in the new moon, it's a time to look within. It's a feminine energy. And so first, by intuition, we see where we are in terms of self-esteem. Because also what this outer dream that we have is doing, and this is an opportunity, is to trigger those parts of us that feel small. And so this is an opportunity to connect with those parts, and instead of judging them and seeing this amazing bright dream outside and feeling only like these small parts inside, we can actually go into those parts, feel them, and elevate them into their truth. Because anything that is vibrating below love, it's just distorted. This is the game that we are playing. And so by helping those parts to feel safe again, we can dare then to go into Scorpio, which is all about daring to cross our fears. And our fears are actually indicating us the way, when they are not survival fears that are telling us that something is dangerous. So when we are able to be present in the fear and still make decisions from our hearts, because taking a line of action has nothing to do with not having any fear, because many times in this spiritual war, it feels like everything has to be like there were some birds that are pulling us and we are flying towards our dreams. No, it actually takes to cross the veils of illusion to be able to get there, but not as something outside of you. We're actually not walking towards something outside of us. We're actually walking towards our truth. And our truth is already infinite love. It's actually when we feel that we don't have that we feel lost. So the idea here with the archetype of Peter Pan is that we can either, and this is something that I felt very strongly when I was coming back from Ibiza, that I actually projected a big dream on the Iceland. And then when I left, I received this message. I was in a ship and I crossed right in front of Esvedra. And I started transmitting this light language, and I was receiving this message of how this was an opportunity for me to realize that my dream was never outside of me, that I am the dream. So it doesn't matter where you are. You can either be the dreamer that is looking for Neverland, and to go to Neverland, it separates from its shadow and then only wants to see the light, and then is pursuing and seeking the light outside of you. Or you can realize you have both shadow and light, and once you tie your shadow in your feet and also realize the light that is coming from you, then you can play in infinite possibilities. But while you are escaping from what we call negative in judgment and only want to see the dream, but we don't want to challenge our fears, then it's the kind of dreamer that just escapes. And then our shadow just becomes bigger because we're just trying to escape from it. But if we realize that we've always been the shadow and the light, then they can come to terms. And from there, our power has no limit. And it's our choice then what kind of dream we would like to create from the here and now. Because the new earth is within us, and we are creating it by every decision and every action. It's not outside of us. It's not in some day when everything aligns, when everything is perfect. It's already happening. We are already living this transition, this shift. It's already here. We are the shift. We are the shifters. those who awakened first did so to shift the frequencies. So we are the ones meant to go into the shadow, to go into what we fear and transmute it. And that transmutation is what's creating right now the new earth. It's not a Neverland outside of us. We are the paradise that we've been seeking. It's always been here. It's when we escape that we separate from it. And so I invite you, especially those awakened, those sensitive, that can feel all these frequencies, that can feel quite heavy, to stop running away from them and be present in them, knowing that you are the light. But any light in this world is going to create a shadow because of the duality of the 3D. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how the game works. And if you came here in the first place, was because you are perfectly capable of playing this game. You know well both the shadow and the light. You are not supposed to be only the good guy and blame some bad guy outside of you. The whole universe is inside of us. All the frequencies are there, available. We can either continue polarizing extremes, or we can come to terms with them and then play this game in peace, where anyone can create what they would like without judging anyone else. So I feel the invitation in this moment is to stop pointing to who's the bad guy, who's the good guy, and actually own both poles of the axis without identifying with any, coming back to your center, to your star, and stay in your power instead of giving it away to something else that you put on a pedestal. Because anything you see outside of you is in you too, otherwise you could not see it from your projector. It's like when you go to the movies and the movie starts, like the whole movie is already there inside the projector. There's no point in getting angry at the characters. They're just playing a role. And you are not the characters in the movie. You are the projector of the movie. So remember that. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up and sign up for the newsletter, The Star Cycles, to be up to date with moon cycles. And I'll see you in the next video.